Hi friends. Online friends, please confirm you can see me and hear me all right by typing yes. Yeah? Chaliye, thank you. So please let's close our eyes for a moment. So a quick recap. Bitya. Positivism and anti-positivism. So tell me, what is positivism?
Positivism is the psychological concept that sociology is a science which can be proved through scientific experiments.
ठीक है. Who, brother, laid down the foundations of positivism?
Sir,
Comte. Correct. ठीक है. And why do they say we can use the scientific method to study society, brother?
So there are four parameters by which Comte established that it is scientific. Firstly, the way it can be empirically established, it should be not colored by personal biases.
ठीक है. और
Scientific methods should be used. It should be objective.
ठीक है. Tell me, Shreya, what is anti-positivism?
So it contends that sociology is not a science
Hmm.
and it is against or it is in contrary to the establishing founders' theories of positivism.
That is evident from the name itself. But why? Why do anti-positivists say what they do? Which is that the scientific method is not the right way to study social reality.
Because sociology does not have emotions. So it is not a subject which we can just compare to things. So,
Who has emotions?
sociology as a subject, it deals with emotions.
It deals with emotions. Huh? It does. Sociology doesn't have emotions. It deals with emotions.
And with the human relations.
Hmm.
As science, it is not very objective and not very it is not very compared to things basically. It deals with something which is very real. So anti-positivists, they are like
नहीं, things are also real. ठीक है. But yeah, human beings should not be compared to things the way positivists mistakenly do. How are things and people different, brother?
Things behave in the same way over time and space,
Hmm.
whereas different humans can react to different, like the same things in different ways.
Hmm.
So yeah, essentially that.
ठीक है. And even more fundamentally, you're right, you're not wrong, but even more fundamentally,
They have consciousness.
absolutely, people have the ability to think. They're aware of their own existence, unlike things. Great. ठीक है. And who, this anti-positivism began with whom, brother? Yes. Shri Max Weber. बिल्कुल. So Anti-positivist sociology, which is also known as social action approach, basically contains that if you apply the scientific method, the problem is you are only capturing the partial reality, not the whole of reality. You are only capturing what is visible. Are you with me? You can observe people's behavior, actions, what they are doing, but what you cannot capture, the meanings and motives that people attach to those actions or stimuli, etc. And that is an integral part of the social reality. पॉजिटिविस्ट मेथड और साइंटिफिक मेथड यूज करके आप ये तो कैप्चर कर लोगे कि सब शादी कर रहे हैं, बट आप ये नहीं कैप्चर कर पाओगे कि वो क्यों शादी कर रहे हैं और वो क्यों शादी कर रहे हैं और वो क्यों शादी कर रहे हैं. So people get married for different reasons and that would make their marriages very different. Yes or no? According to anti-positivists, there are no fixed patterns which human behavior follows. So you can't discover them or frame any generalizations or laws governing social life. This is the anti-positivist position. Anti-positivism, friends, takes the discipline of sociology closer to which discipline? Closer to which discipline? Psychology, specifically. Why they are saying we need to understand what's going on in his or her mind. Yes or no? Or the meanings and motives, the emotions, all of that, which is primarily the domain of psychology. So positivist approaches are more macro, focusing on the big picture. Social institutions, groups, collectivities, etc. Social action approaches or anti-positivist approaches are more micro, focusing on social actions, individuals, and smaller level phenomena. Yeah? Chaliye, moving. Any doubts? One hurried student is asking online, then can sociology as a discipline can be concluded as science or not? We are yet to complete that thing. We are still in the midst of that discussion. What's your take? Who seems more right? Anti-positivists or positivists? Anti-positivists. Sorry? Middle. And who is middle? Weber. Weber, whom we are right now classifying as anti-positivist, we learn later on. He does not entirely discard the scientific method also. वो कहता है ये भी है पर सिर्फ इस पे नहीं रिलाय कर सकते. We need to combine it with other methods. Okay? अब एक सब हेडिंग दीजिए. प्रॉब्लम्स. हम सबके जीवन में क्या है? प्रॉब्लम्स ही प्रॉब्लम्स. तो हेडिंग दीजिए प्रॉब्लम्स इन यूजिंग द साइंटिफिक मेथड इन सोशियोलॉजी. Problems in using the scientific method in sociological research. ठीक? Apart from the fundamental objection raised by the anti-positivists that the subject matter is only different, so it won't yield results. You can't capture emotions and thinking, etc. Right? The meanings and the motives. Apart from that, if you were given a research project, if you were to conduct any sociological research, what practical problems will you encounter in trying to conduct that research using the scientific method? सोचो और बताओ कि आपको कोई सोशियोलॉजिकल रिसर्च करनी है तो उसमें दिक्कतें क्या आएंगी. ब्रदर, व्हाई इज दैट अ प्रॉब्लम? जनता तो भरी पड़ी है इस देश में. So people may not be open to or willing to share information on certain topics of research like intimacy. Yes. You are who? The researcher. The researcher's biases. Okay, so they may contaminate the research. You're saying, brother? Controlled environment नहीं होगा. तो चाहिए क्यों तुम्हें इतना control? Experimentation करने के लिए you need a controlled environment which you cannot have in sociology. And why can't you have it? किसका? And you are suggesting जब emotions आ जाते हैं तो लोग बावले हो जाते हैं and then you really can't control them. ठीक है. Okay. Yes, brother. तो वो तो देना पड़ेगा. Okay, that's not a legitimate this thing that it is time consuming for God's sake. So many scientists across disciplines, you have to devote time where you should, right? Yes, brother. अर्थात बच्चे और पिता के बीच के प्यार को आप कैसे कैलकुलेट करेंगे? हाँ, वाओ, वेरी ब्यूटिफुली एक्सप्रेस्ड. हाँ, यस. We can't make generalizations because human behavior is so complex. बेटी, situations, occasions and moods may differ. So why is that a problem for me to conduct research? I don't understand.
If we are taking a sample group of some people and we are claiming that this is their response in a particular situation.
So you're saying people's responses may change, with situations or mood and whatever. Can you give any example? For example, you have these voting surveys. Which party will you vote for? Today she might say in that survey, if I were to conduct it now, I'll vote for the BJP. 2 months down the line, okay, or some new development which may take place, which may alter her voting preference. Betty?
You might not be able to get the exact devices for the test, or there might be some technical issue which will result in different results.
Technical issues? Which?
If you are trying to put any survey on a device, you not have it where you can really get some accurate results for even the test that you are conducting.
Then we'll purchase those devices, no?
What if you are trying to create something like, see, sociology is a very new discipline. So I still believe that there might not be enough, I don't know, but I'm not very sure, but there might not be enough devices through which people are conducting the exact scientific.
They may not exist. The devices to conduct scientific research may not exist. Absolutely. Completely in agreement with that. Brother? The statistics.
So the problem with the stats also doom the sociological research as well, as it is said that stats reveal a large part but may not reveal the very specifics or the most important parts.
ठीक है. So the issue with statistics in general also apply to statistics in social. Yes.
Studying certain sociological phenomena might require having certain
Prior knowledge.
situations.
Sorry? Which kind of situations?
Experimenting, like doing experiments for studying sociological phenomena might require like specific situation. You want to put these subjects to specific situations and see.
So what's the issue? I will, if I want to.
But because it is not always possible to have a large number of people
Absolutely.
to the same set of conditions that you want them to be in.
Absolutely. So it is difficult to replicate real life social situations to conduct experiments in sociology. Absolutely.
If you tell them that they are like being experimented, then they will not reflect their true behavior that they go
Absolutely.
exhibit in their real life.
Absolutely correct. Yes, Betty?
So that in the process of using the scientific methods, it may be difficult to analyze and to observe people because the same person can act differently to the same stimuli in two different conditions
Absolutely. That's what the anti-positivists also say. That's what she was also suggesting.
based on the background factors, based on his moods, the conditions.
Bilkul. Completely agree. Data might be corrupted.
We are using police data for how many rapes are filed.
Say, very good example, police data on rapes. Right? Why would it be like corrupted? Why do you say? You're right. It's far from ground reality. So rapes are grossly underreported, he's suggesting, because of the stigma associated with it. So that may not be the best, this thing. Yeah? Yes. So wrong definitions, I would say. Huh? If we begin with. Yes, they should be, but they're not. So we are defining work wrongly, you would say. Hmm. So there are definitional issues with important concepts. ठीक है. Yes. There might be field limitations, yani you want to research in a tribal area, but the tribals who, and you are not you don't belong to that tribe, so tribals may not allow you to enter that area or sit with them. How would I conduct research? Yes. So as a society we are quite Sharmila, right? And that might affect data collection in so many ways. Absolutely. Let me take up some online comments as well. Opinions of subjects can change with respect to their caste, religion, etc. Yes. Due to unquantifiable scenario, so-called empirical data will be incomplete. Output of sociological research will not be in line with acceptability of that of core scientific research, where accuracy of a generalized theory is very high. So you can't have generalizations like you can in other sciences, he's suggesting. There's problem in hypothesis building and testing. Why should that be a problem? Build a hypothesis the whichever way you like. क्या दिक्कत है? Hypothesis क्या होती है? कोई वो, it's not a statement of finality. It's only a starting proposition. चलिए लिखिए. First problem. The problem of experimentation. The problem of experimentation. Now, friends, please appreciate, and you make running notes of whatever is being discussed. The experimentation method is considered as the heart and soul, as it were, of the scientific method. Yes or no? So when you hear the word scientific method, what springs to mind? Experiments, beakers and petri dishes and stuff like that. Yeah? What is an experiment really? That in a controlled environment, we are trying to establish a relationship between two variables by varying one and seeing its effect on the other, keeping other things constant. Now, what is the problem, or why we can't conduct experiments as many as we would like in sociological research? friends, it is very difficult to recreate lab type environments in sociology. Lab type matlab controlled environments. Yes or no? How do you, as one of you, I think you were suggesting, how do you fit entire communities into an artificial lab-like environment? Are you with me? I want to experiment on communal riots. That is my area of research. What do I do? Should I divide the members of this class into Hindus and Muslims and then start off this thing between them? That would be bizarre, to say the least. Yes or no? So you can't recreate many social situations in a controlled environment or a lab type setting. One problem. Secondly, many areas of social life people consider, people may be hesitant to share information, as some of you had suggested. People may not grant access to the researchers. Like intimacy and sexuality. It's a topic of great sociological interest. But how does a researcher enter the bedroom? Yes or no? And it's not only sexuality which is difficult to this thing. For many people, their family relationships are their private affair. So would you allow a researcher to enter your family for academic or research purposes and conduct research and experiments? Highly unlikely. Yes or no? So people may have privacy concerns that will limit researchers' access. Yes or no? Thirdly, friends, the researcher will face an ethical dilemma. Of several ethical dilemmas, one important one being, should the subjects be told that they are being experimented upon? Yes or no? You are a researcher researching on XYZ. Should you tell the subjects that they are subjects of an experiment? Or should you not tell them? What's your take? बताना चाहिए नहीं बताना चाहिए? नहीं बताना चाहिए. Why should they not be told? Sorry? So that will modify their behavior and you will not be able to capture their real behavior. Being aware that they are being researched upon will alter their behavior. And you won't get the, reality, you won't be able to capture as it is. Yeah?
If the answer to that question was so simple, then it would not be a dilemma after all.
So why is it a dilemma? For him it is very clear that they need not be told. But do you think they should be told?
Not suggesting that they should be told, but it's a question, it's a difficult question to answer.
Why? What's the other side?
Ethical, it may be ethically wrong to...
हाँ, साफ बात है. You are using human beings as guinea pigs and not even telling them. हैं? कोई अंतरात्मा की रिसर्चर्स की आवाज होती है नहीं होती? ठीक है, रिसर्चर्स भी तो इंसान होते हैं. How would you feel if you were to know that, on the sly, I was conducting an experiment on you guys sitting in the classroom. आपको 5-10 महीने बाद after the course पता चले that you'll feel deceived. Yes or no? Lied to. कि चोरी छुपे हम पे रिसर्च हो गई. So, on one hand, there is a moral imperative of having an honest relationship with the research subjects. On the other, if they are told that they are being researched upon, it will modify their behavior, right? Thereby corrupting the, in a sense, corrupting the data. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Right? So that ethical dilemma researchers would encounter. Also, do you want me to like pause to jot down? Another issue that we face, okay, and he's asking like any other ethical dilemmas a researcher would face. Any other example we can come up with? For example, while conducting research, a researcher is somewhat duty bound to the scientific project or nature of his research, that he disclose the data to other researchers for peer review. That he's not fudged the data, it's honest, it's like out in the open. So he needs to be open to, his research needs to be as transparent as possible for other scientists and researchers to verify, or readers of his research to go deep into, right? But in the course of my research, I may come across a lot of sensitive or personal information about the subjects. For example, I may collect information regarding your sexual behavior, regarding even income levels. So, will that be ethically correct for me to share that information or make it public? If I don't make it public, then I am cheating science or the scientific ethos. If I do make it public, then I am compromising the integrity, the privacy of the data of other people, for which I may not have a right. Right? So many dilemmas we encounter. Another, may I? That's a yes. That's the, beauty of Indian headshakes. This also means yes, this also means yes. There's some sort of a short film or documentary I was seeing by some Videshi fellow. He wrote at length that in different parts of India we say yes in different ways, Somewhere we say like yes, somewhere like this. Sorry? Fluffy, yeah, I don't recall the name, but yeah, I saw that. I found it very funny. Anyways, that's a digression. Coming back, another issue we would face while conducting experiments is, please appreciate, when you conduct experiments in physics or chemistry, what are the consequences in that experiment? What can it result in? You'll either prove or disprove your hypothesis. Are you with me? It might lead to breaking of some materials or things. But while conducting research or experiments in society, we are dealing with very real human relationships, real human beings and human emotions. Simply put, friends, research in sociology can have very real world consequences. if we say we want to conduct experiments regarding to find the relationship between divorce and physical violence, spousal violence, what do? Do you ask men to beat up their wives? It will have a very serious adverse impact on the woman's psychology, their relationship, the institution of marriage. Yes or no? At least for the persons involved. If you want to conduct experiments on communal riots, do you instigate one? कि देखते हैं मंदिर के बाहर ना गऊ मार के काट के फेंक देते हैं, देखते हैं हाउ हिंदूज रिएक्ट, या आउटसाइड अ मस्जिद वी विल थ्रो पोर्क एंड सी विच कम्युनिटी गेट्स ट्रिगर्ड फर्स्ट. करना चाहिए हमें ऐसे? ऑफ कोर्स नॉट. व्हाई? ह्यूमन लाइव्स आर इन्वॉल्व्ड, ह्यूमन बीइंग्स आर इन्वॉल्व्ड. यस और नो? So that also limits our ability to conduct experiments in sociological research. Another issue, friends. Say in physics or chemistry, what do? You have to find the relationship between which variables? You unpaired people, move beyond that. Say pressure and temperature. Okay? So what will you do? You will vary the pressure and vary the temperature and see its effect on the pressure, keeping other things constant. So the gas you use will remain same or constant. The number of molecules of the gas will remain constant. PV is equal to nRT. बाकी चीजें सब constant. ठीक है? बाकी सब constant कर देंगे and the variables under study we'll vary one and see the effect it produces on the other. When you do that or try do that in sociology, the problem we encounter is there are way too many variables involved. Please appreciate. So practically it may get very difficult to hold so many of them as constant. एग्जाम्पल से समझाऊंगा, बेहतर समझ आता है. For example, so you want to figure out the relationship between the level of education, okay, or educational attainment and income level. A lot of sociologists are keenly interested in this study. How does one's education affect one's income? ठीक? Legitimate area of study. But income is a function of several other factors apart from educational attainment of the person concerned. And it might be difficult to, hold all others constant. For example, what other factors may affect income? One's income? Sorry? Agriculture is a source of income. I'm asking what may affect your, what money you are earning in a month, brother?
How much money the person had in the first place?
Yes, so one's class to which you belong. Yes or no? Or class of origin. Basically, whether you are born to rich parents or poor parents will also affect your income levels. Yes? The job market scenario, absolutely. So when the going is good, gadhas also make piles of money, but when the going gets tough. Yes or no? So the job market situation. What else? One's experience. All right, absolutely. Opportunities would be like, say, within the job market situation broadly. Your health can affect your income levels. अगर आप सुस्त हो, ढीले हो, तो कम मेहनत कर पाओगे, कम कमा पाओगे. अगर आप चुस्त हो, तंदुरुस्त हो, तो ज्यादा पैसे बनाओगे. बेटे, या इन्फ्लेशन और से मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक सिनारियो. मैक्रो में नहीं आता होगा ना ये सब. ओके ब्रदर, सॉरी, द सोशल नेटवर्क, वंडरफुल. सो यू नो, whom are you connected to, whom do you know? Do you know the right people who can land you in lucrative jobs or contracts? Beti,
Personal choice. For example, I study a lot, read a lot of courses, but I become a writer and do not earn as much. That's a personal
so one's inclination, huh? Bilkul. Or how much importance one attaches to money. So for her, it may not be a lot about career is not defined by or measured. Career success is not measured in terms of money. While for another person who is, he'll be more likely to strive for. Yes? Yeah? Okay, so any sort of talents, etc., that you possess. Yeah? Yes? Your past savings, बिल्कुल. कितनी धनराशि है आपके पास? Right? What else? Absolutely. Or your gender, of course. Or your caste in the Indian context. Will that have a bearing on how much you earn? Quite likely. Yeah? So, what about parents' education levels? Can that also affect your income levels? Whether your parents are educated or to what extent? Will that, or is that, can that be expected to affect the individual's earnings? Yes. So, parents, education, so many things. No? Point is, we have ample number of variables, and this is not an exhaustive list. Yes or no? Which affect income. Now, if we were to establish a relationship between only education and income, then we need to do what? See how one varies with the other, keeping all these constant. So we must neutralize for the other variables. So when your sample, whatever, you should have only people of one gender. So you can't have both men and women. Otherwise, any variations in income you see may be due to gender and not due to education level. So your data set will include only men of a particular caste. So only Baniya men, because if there are men of other caste, then the variations may be due to the caste factor. Are you with me? And so many things you'll have to neutralize for. 1 second. Which is practically very difficult. Very, very difficult, cumbersome. Moreover, how the situation is made even more complicated. Please appreciate these other social factors that we have identified, they also may be interrelated. They are in fact interrelated. So, is the social network also dependent on or related to caste? Yes, it is. Yes or no? Is, say, parents' education, does it affect the child's or the person's education? Yes, it does. Are you with me? So, too many variables at play, too many interconnections. In such a scenario, to be able to have a controlled kind of a setup where you can establish a relationship between two variables becomes highly difficult and complex. ठीक. ये सारी दिक्कतें तो हैं. Okay, we do encounter these problems while trying to conduct experiments in sociological research. Now tell me two things. One is, assuming that we cannot conduct any experiments in sociology, does that necessarily make us a non-science? In other words, if we can't conduct experiments in sociology, does it mean because of that we are not a science? What's your take? In other words, is it necessary to be able to conduct experiments for a body of knowledge to be regarded as scientific? Yes?
So we can confer from the already present data how things are going on in the society. The data from
So you are saying just because you can't conduct experiments doesn't make you any less scientific. We can collect data from whatever is going on in the society, and that's how we proceed.
Sir, through that data collection will be narrow perspective. Through experiments it will be broad perspective.
But we have so many problems or issues while conducting experiments, no? So I'm moving to the next question, that now that assuming that we can't conduct experiments in sociology, does that necessarily make us a non-science? Yeah.
How you talk about like using already existing data, like I wonder like these factors will also be there, right? Like even in
He's saying in the natural world out there, in the social world out there, you will have too many complexities and interrelated variables.
So for example, जैसे हमने फायर वाला एग्जांपल कर लिया था कि कोई उसमें टूट जाएगा, कोई भाग जाएगा, कोई करेगा किसी को. There are only 3-4 possibilities. तो उसमें जाके टूट मतलब कोई उसमें जाके जल तो नहीं जाएगा, अपने आप को बचाएगा ही किसी भी तरह से. तो ये 4 possibilities भी एक scientific conclusion हो गया कि यही 4 possibilities हैं. तो that can also be seen as a scientific thing कि 4 ही possibilities इससे कुछ होगा. That is also a data. चाहे किसी भी condition में put करें तो 4 conditions हैं हमारे.
Yes.
although experiments cannot be done, but like
Sociological
sociological research is based on logic and reasoning.
research is based on logic and reasoning, even if you can't do experiments. Okay, great. Two things I would like to highlight. A, merely absence of experimentation would not make sociology unscientific, only on those grounds. A, like it does have a certain rationale, a certain logic. Secondly, you can collect, or what should I say? There are, for example, when you study geology, astrophysics, you can't really conduct too many experiments in these kind of fields, right? अब आपको धरती की टेक्टोनिक मूवमेंट समझनी है, उसके लिए आप एक्सपेरिमेंटल लेवल पे उनको लड़ा थोड़ी ना दोगे, नहीं लड़ा सकते, राइट? बट इज इट अ साइंस? इट इज. So limited experimentations are possible there also. And secondly, friends, likewise, even in sociology, we can conduct limited experimentations. Or experiments, sorry. Perhaps not on as, to the same extent as in physics or chemistry, but there are several experiments we can and do conduct in sociology. For example, certain scenarios make themselves amenable, or what we conduct what we call field experiments, not lab experiments but field experiments in sociology. Field experiments and lab experiments में difference क्या है? Lab experiment में you would try to bring the social actors in a lab type situation or a controlled environment and then conduct the experiment. That would, of course, affect the research outcome and maybe practically not possible. But things are happening out there. You go there and conduct the experiment. For example, a lot of field experiments have been conducted on, say, industrial workers. Instead of calling them to an artificial setting or a lab type environment, the researchers would go to the factories. The workers are anyways working in the factories. Are you with me? That's their daily schedule. And the researchers would then say, vary light and see its effect on their productivity. Vary the ventilation. Okay, the temperature. Monetary incentives. So many things you can vary and see its effect on worker productivity. चीजें तो हो ही रही है ना दुनिया में, वहां जाके देख लो, वहां पे वेरिएबल्स को थोड़ा ट्वीक करने की, कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश कर लो. ओके, व्हाट वी वुड कॉल फील्ड एक्सपेरिमेंट्स. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि सोशियोलॉजी में बिल्कुल एक्सपेरिमेंट्स नहीं होते. वी डू कंडक्ट फील्ड एक्सपेरिमेंट्स. Lab experiment is what you have done in school for physics and chemistry. You go to a chemistry lab, meaning what? It's a highly controlled environment. You decide how much hydrogen I'll mix with how much chlorine, right? At what temperature and blah blah, right? It's not there in the natural world happening. It's an artificial environment created specifically for research purposes. That's a lab environment. सोशियोलॉजी में वही तो कह रहा हूं, लैब एक्सपेरिमेंट्स मुश्किल है. लैब एनवायरमेंट में, सो फॉर एग्जांपल, लैब एनवायरमेंट वुड मीन आई टेल इंडस्ट्रियल वर्कर्स टू कम टू दिस लैब. इफ आई वर टू मेक दिस क्लासरूम इनटू अ लैब, आई विल इंस्टॉल कैमरास हियर. Okay, I'll tell them, and I'll have some fake type of industrial machinery here. I'll tell them, work. Okay, that will be practically difficult. Are you with me? But they are working in the factories anyways. That's their natural habitat, as it were. है ना? वहां पे मैं उनको पकड़ लूंगा, and जो variables tweak करने as a researcher करूंगा, and I will see what happens. ठीक है? So that is about the problem of experimentation in sociological research. The second problem that we encounter is the problem of measurement and quantification. Problem of measurement and quantification. Now please appreciate, friends, in sociology, despite the discipline having fairly matured over the past 200 odd years in terms of multiplicity of theories, perspectives, even methodologies, we have quite failed to develop any standardized units of measurement for the phenomena that we study, for most of the phenomena that we try to study. You know, the natural sciences like physics and chemistry, why they have made the kind of progress that they have? Because they have been able to develop standardized units of measurement. Please appreciate. Physics में आप क्या डील करते हो? You deal with mass. What is the unit of mass? What is the standard unit of mass? Kilograms. What is the standard unit of length? Meter. What is the unit of time? Second. And what is 1 meter? Sorry? Yes, absolutely. There is some stick somewhere in a European laboratory. Yes or no? And that length is what is 1 meter. Likewise, for 1 kg, you would have some object somewhere, and the object of that, the weight of that object is 1 kilogram. Some clock ticking somewhere in European laboratory, and what it does in that is 1 second. Yeah, the time it takes to do whatever. Are there any two views about it? Is there any dispute on how much is 1 meter or 1 kilogram? Not amongst the researchers or the academicians of that discipline, and not amongst the members of the society, across societies and cultures. The whole world agrees upon what is 1 meter, what is 1 kilogram, what is 1 second. Yes or no? And the relationship between various units. So 1 meter is 100 centimeter. Anybody thinks otherwise? No. And 1,000 meters makes 1 kilometer. Yes or no? पूरी दुनिया में we have a consensus on these. Even for the seeming intangibles, heat का क्या यूनिट है? बताओ सारे इंजीनियरों. जूल. जूल ही होता है ना. Kelvin, joule, whatever. Yeah, you ask your physics teachers. But you have a standard one. फोर्स का क्या यूनिट है? न्यूटन. हाँ, प्रेशर का क्या यूनिट है? पास्कल. ठीक है? एंड नो डिस्प्यूट्स अबाउट इट कि व्हाट इज 1 पास्कल या 1 जूल, सब तय है. यस और नो? नाउ वी, अब हमारी हालत देखो आप. वी एज अ डिसिप्लिन, वी हैव multiplicity of perspectives and theories and contestations, even multiple definitions of the same phenomena. तो फैमिली की आपको 1000 definitions मिल जाएंगी. कास्ट सिस्टम की जितनी कास्ट हैं उतनी definitions मिल जाएंगी. Are you with me? Definitions and theories भतेर हैं. But we don't have standardized units of measurement for most of the phenomena that we research or study. For example, we study religiosity. Can we have an objective standardized unit of measurement? Can you say कि मैं तो 8 joules religious हूं और ये 5 joules religious है तो ये मुझसे कम religious है? No. That, yes or no? Such measurement criteria or units simply do not exist. And sociology is greatly interested in whether society is becoming less religious, more religious, which communities are more religious and which communities are less religious, how much has religiosity declined over the ages or since in the past 10 years or past 30 years or past 100 years. But we can't measure religiosity. Something so basic as, we are always discussing the strength of social bonds, but can we quantify or measure it? So if I were to ask you, how close are you to your sibling, to your brother or sister? Can you say मैं तो 5 न्यूटन है हमारा रिश्ता या 10 न्यूटन है उसका तो उसका स्ट्रॉन्गर है? Simply no. So how do we collect that information? We do it through surveys. We do collect information through surveys. In those surveys, we might either devise a scale, okay, which will seem like very quantifiable info, or for example, that scale may have, say, rate your relationship with your brother. Okay, 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10. But the meaning of what those numbers stand for, that is not standardized, no? So he might mark his relationship with his brother as 4. He might mark his as 7. But his relationship may be far better than his. Are you with me? पर उसको लगता है वो सिर्फ 4 लेवल की है, 4 यूनिट्स की है, और उसको लगता है उसकी तो 7 यूनिट्स है. Are you with me? We simply do not have any standardized units of measurement for much of the phenomena that we study. And this, friends, has prevented quantification and mathematization. Are you with me? In physics, chemistry, you can really measure and quantify. So this desk is for 10 kilograms. And this laptop is for 2 kilograms. Together that is 10 plus 2, 12 kilograms. Yes or no? This kurta is for 5 meters. That shirt is for 4 meters. Together they are 9 meters cloth. But you can't do that in the realm of sociology. Are you with me? Much of our sociological research is conducted in ordinary English, ordinary language. Hindi में पूछो, English में पूछो. Are you with me? Which is subject to interpretation, the meaning of those terms. So that is another problem. And for scientific investigation, for scientific analysis, you do require mathematization or quantification, which is very difficult to attain in sociology. It's really remarkable, as an academician, I find it very remarkable how these other sciences have developed so many units which are so specific and universally accepted. But this discipline is still, frankly, it's not even on our agenda as a discipline, unfortunately. हम खुश हैं ऐसे ही बस शब्दों में बात करके. Thirdly, चलें आगे या रुकें? या चलें या रुकें, मतलब कि do you want me to continue or are you writing something? Third is the problem of generalization. The problem of generalization. You look at the other sciences, guys. Remarkable in the kind of universal laws or generalizations that they formulate. Force is equal to mass into acceleration. किसके लिए, किसने बताया था ये? न्यूटन ने. किस देश का था न्यूटन? जर्मनी का था, आई डाउट. इंग्लैंड का था. यूरोपियन ब्रॉडली. But this knowledge applicable only for Europe. It holds true across time and space. Yes or no? Across cultures, geographies, everything. H2 plus half O2 gives you H2. कहाँ पे applicable है? हर जगह applicable है. Yes or no? That is the nature of scientific knowledge. that you can have very sweeping, very wide, you can have generalizations with very wide application, near universal. But in sociology, friends, when you conduct any research, do you even expect it to be universally applicable? Say you conduct some research on an issue in India, Indian society. Or let's say you conduct a research in American society. Would you expect it to also be equally applicable to Indian scenario? Yes or no? No. So साफ बात है कि wherever you are gathering your data from, possibly your research outcomes or any generalizations that you make will be applicable to that society. But human behavior is greatly varied. No, it varies from one society to society, from culture to culture. So what may be applicable to American context quite likely may not be applicable to the Indian context. Yes? For example, friends, there was a research conducted in the West, in one of the Western countries, which found there was a very high and positive correlation between domestic violence and marital breakdown. Domestic violence and marital breakdown. In other words, यदि पति अपनी पत्नी पे हाथ उठाता है तो उससे परिवार टूटने की संभावना अधिक होती है. ठीक है? In India, what do you expect? Yes? शर्मा क्यों रहे हो? Yes? In India, no positive correlation was found. It was not the opposite. ये नहीं था कि मारने से परिवार की स्थिरता बेहतर होती है. But a high incidence of wife beating is not positively correlated to marital breakdown. Other factors would contribute to it or will be far more important than domestic violence. So, the social norms, societal expectations, taboo pertaining to divorce or separation, etc. Yes or no? The nature of socialization or how girls and boys are raised from childhood, all of that would be very different in Indian society and in American society. Are you with me? So, at best, we arrive at very limited generalizations in sociology. ठीक. Finally, is the problem of objectivity. The problem of objectivity in sociological research. The problem of objectivity in sociological research. Amongst all these things that we've discussed, this is more important in the sense you can expect a standalone question on the question of objectivity, and it has been asked and can be asked. ठीक? Give a subheading under this: fact, value and objectivity. That is how it is mentioned in your syllabus. Fact, value and objectivity. What do you understand? What do you mean by objectivity, very roughly? No bias of the researcher, है ना? Absolutely. So when you say a research is objective or a body of knowledge is objective, then what do you mean? Is it based upon facts or values? Facts. So when we say it is objective, we mean it is governed by facts or empirical evidence, while what is the role of values? Which is fine. I'm not asking you how they are. I'm asking you what is the role of values in a research which is objective? What role do values play? Huh? They do not play any role, ना तभी तो वो research objective होगी. ठीक है? So values do not play a role if the research is objective. All right? So when we say objectivity, we mean it is value free. It is value free research, devoid of values or not affected by the values of the subjects or researcher, या both. रिस्पोंडेंट्स जो होते हैं उनकी वैल्यूज सिर्फ मुक्त होनी चाहिए या रिसर्चर की वैल्यूज से, या दोनों की? रिसर्चर की, नॉट दोनों की. रिसर्चर्स, it is not affected by the values of the researcher. That is what objectivity means. Okay? What are facts? What are facts? Normal English word. Yeah? Raise your hand and speak, yeah. Brother? Static, which cannot be changed. Okay? Better than that, I feel you, but, brother? Universally accepted truths are facts. Beti? Proven data based on empirical evidence. ठीक है? Yes, yes. Small chunnu of knowledge. It's like a kern of knowledge. Yeah. Something we know to be true. ठीक है? So yes. And you must be thinking, why are you asking us to define like each and every ordinary English word? Too much. Facts are facts. तथ्य. We know. है ना? कहाँ तक ही define करोगे? And what are values? ये थोड़ा सा फिर भी टेढ़ा शब्द है. What are values? Brother? ठीक है. Tough but correct way to state it. The magnitude of desirability or undesirability create value in a system. Yes, brother. Personal preferences. Degree of? ठीक है. हाँ, हम किस चीज को इंपॉर्टेंस दे रहे हैं? Yes. Personal beliefs. वो तो ठीक है, बट होती क्या है? You're right, values define or affect our actions, but what are they really? Yes. Worth. Very good. Worth. Yes. What we believe is true. Facts are what are true, and values are what we believe are true. Nice way of putting it. तो लिखो. A fact is an empirically verifiable observation. Facts. A fact is an empirically verifiable observation. Full stop. Facts remain same or different? The same for all persons. ठीक? values refer to the subjective dispositions or preferences which a person may have. एक बात बताओ, आर values are societal और पर्सनल? वैल्यूज व्यक्ति विशेष की होती हैं या सामाजिक होती हैं? बोथ? यस या सॉरी, values are personal which are also affected by the society. Very nicely put. ठीक है, लिखो. Values are shaped by socialization, personal experiences, the social environment, our social interactions, and culture. ठीक? Full stop. The values of a society. Stop. Akash. Rendo. The values of a society define what is considered as worthwhile and important. ठीक है? And values, friends, tell me, are they, do they vary from society to society, or they are same across societies? They vary, of course. Right? For instance, in American society or Western society in general, one of the governing values is individualism. Yes or no? So the individual is considered more important than the collectivity or the larger group. So it's all about the individual's likings, the individual's rights, the individual's preferences, the individual's aspirations. Yes or no? In contrast, in Indian society, what is the underlying value? Whom do we regard as more important, the individual or the collectivity? Yes, it is collectivism. Or say its one manifestation would be familism. Yes or no? Family is more important or the individual is more important? The family is more important than the individual. Yes or no? And our values guide social behavior. Values guide social behavior. Values affect how we think and how we act. What we do and do not do is all affected by our values. So, values in that sense are principles governing our conduct, right? Emanating from these values of individualism and familism respectively, you would find, for example, the how marital alliances are formed in India and in the West. India mein, how is marriage done? Arranged marriage. Yes or no? और अमेरिका में कैसे होती है? लव मैरिज होती है. क्यों? हमारे यहां कहते हैं रिश्ता दो परिवारों के बीच में हो रहा है. It's not two individuals who are getting married, it is the coming together of two families. Yes or no? So the individual's happiness, the individual's preferences, the individual's romantic inclinations, etc. गए भाड़ में. Yes or no? For the good of the family. So you must marry in accordance with the family's honor, family status. नाक बचानी होती है ना शादी के समय परिवार की, या जवानी होने के बाद, राइट? For families, desire for dahej, and so on and so forth. So family considerations are more important than those at the level of the individual. The individual's desires, inclinations, etc. can be sacrificed at the altar of the welfare of the family. Yes? इसीलिए अरेंज्ड मैरिज. और अमेरिका में या वेस्ट में लव मैरिज. वाई? वहां इंडिविजुअलिज्म है. सो इट्स अबाउट माई हैप्पीनेस, माई romantic inclination towards another person, my sexual gratification. Are you with me? It's all about me, the individual. So in the West, the couple getting married would invite their parents for their marriage. And aap yahan pe, can you even dare think of it? इंसान का खुद का लीस्ट पार्टिसिपेशन होता है खुद की मैरिज में हमारे यहां. क्यों? बाकी सारा काम परिवार कर रहा होता है. आपको तो बुत की तरह बिठा दिया जाता है ना? सो यू आर देयर ओनली फॉर डिस्प्ले पर्पसेस ड्यूरिंग योर ओन मैरिज, राइट? सो वैल्यूज वेरी फ्रॉम सोसाइटी टू सोसाइटी. वैल्यूज, as you guys rightly said, are personal, but as he rightly pointed out, they are affected or shaped by the social environment. Clear? Now, coming to the question of objectivity. Objectivity means what? It's based on facts or values? It is based on facts. And what role do values play? Values play no role in the research. Whose values? Values of the researcher play no role, or it is what we call value free sociology. ठीक है? तो अब लिखो. According to Robert Bierstedt, objectivity means according to Robert Bierstedt, objectivity means that the conclusions arrived at, objectivity means that the conclusions arrived at as a result of inquiry are independent of the race, color, creed, CREED, occupation, nationality, religion, moral preferences, and political predisposition of the who? Researcher. Of the researcher. ठीक है? With that definition, we take a break. And during the break, if you are free, think over this issue that whether sociology is, or sociological research is, objective or not. ठीक? Hi friends. Please settle down. I'm being asked what is the meaning of predisposition. It means kind of an inclination. ठीक है? झुकाव. Why does the society vary in different regions, I'm being asked? Why isn't it like one thing? Why aren't we all homo and genius? Why are we also different in so many ways? Huh? For survival.
Societies are different for survival. It is necessary for the society to be different to मतलब human existence के लिए सब necessary है.
क्यों?
Differences.
क्यों? Why is Indian society so different from American society or Pakistani society for that matter? Yeah. Absolutely, they have had different historical trajectories, yeah. Or something as basic as, say, the geographical and climatic conditions would determine numerous factors. Yes or no? So, say, a colony would have a different development than a country which has never been colonized. Yeah? Numerous factors would get into that. Chaliye, coming back to our topic of discussion, which was objectivity. We had understood what objectivity is and how it's related to facts and values. Now, tell me कि आपने क्या सोचा? Is sociology or sociological research characterized by objectivity or not? How many of you are of the view it is not characterized by objectivity? Raise your hands. कि sociological research is not characterized by objectivity. Okay. How many of you are of the view it is characterized by objectivity? Just one or two and a half kind of hands. Huh? So when you say it is characterized by objectivity, the 2.5 people, why? Why do you say that? You did not say that. Yeah. No, you raised your hand that it is not. I'm asking those who say it is characterized by objectivity. Why do you say that? Yeah? It's not fully objective. It is not fully attained, though they are trying to achieve it. So you are on the other side of the fence, frankly. Huh? Try तो करते हैं बेचारे, but होता नहीं है. Yes?
Sir, there could be pockets of objectivity and non-objectivity in the sociology. For example, if a sociological research is based on data collected, and जैसे Com has said that if we analyze that data, then the data would not change. The analysis might change, but in some case the objectivity might come into the play for the caste or the race of the person, of the researcher analyzing the data might come into play if there is a 90-20 relation. For example,
What do you mean by 1920 relation?
for example, if there is a data about poverty due to the caste of a person, of caste relation. Sir, if the data is like 40 out of 100 people, 49 people of the lower caste earn less, and 51 people of the higher caste earn more. So if the researcher might be of lower caste, he can say that this might be due to
This proves the caste and income linkage.
if the person is of higher caste, he may say that the data is almost similar. It might,
Okay.
but if there is a landslide difference between, let's take example like 10 people of the lower caste are in the
So you're saying it depends on what the data reflects. Huh? Objectivity means that what the researcher or who he is, what he thinks, should not matter, irrespective of the data. Huh? Yes? It cannot be based on patterns in the data. Huh? So he is saying we all have opinions by the time we enter into research. Yes. The question is, can those values be kept aside while conducting research? So in our subconscious, you have several prejudices, etc., which are very deep rooted, which you cannot keep aside, he's saying. Yes, Betty?
they override the value. For example, there is a difference between the sex ratio.
Hmm.
So here in that, irrespective of the male or female who is doing research,
Hmm.
clearly
So say a society has an adverse child sex ratio, no matter whether the researcher is male or female, it indicates a preference for the male child and some patriarchal practices like female infanticide or feticide. Huh? So she's saying this is pure data. It's like data science. Huh?
So, as far as your argument is concerned, as far as the collection of data is concerned, there may be objectivity, but there also has to be interpretation and conclusion deriving out of that data.
Hmm.
As far as that aspect of research is concerned, in natural sciences, like it builds upon like theories that are well accepted in a way, right? So there is a procedure established. Whereas in sociology,
Hmm.
even terms as basic as society have different meanings according to different.
We simply can't agree upon the very basics of our discipline, including a simple sadi definition of society or sociology or. Huh?
So the researcher has to choose from a variety of different definitions and a variety of different ways of thinking,
Hmm.
and basically make such choices.
So he's saying it is subjective, very subjective. The researcher is making a lot of choices. There's no standardization, nothing fixed, nothing given. Brother?
So, like what he said, I was like, at macro level perspective, with some problems, because the most, like for example, the most common tool is survey. For a macro level perspective, that can be like unbiased. But at micro level, for example, a tool for micro level observation is unstructured interviews. Like for example, you just said, if you are like analyzing something, someone's privacy. So for example, a very small example, you might hold back your question if you think that
It will be inappropriate to ask.
traumatic for the
Respondent.
respondent. So at macro level perspectives, like I gave an example, unstructured interview, there's a lot of scope for bias.
Betty?
So suppose there is a sociologist and he has some inclination towards a particular community. Now he may not, apply his values on the research, but on choosing the topic, so that like he can decide I'll research on this topic so that everyone will come to know about their social status or anything.
Give me an example. It's a good point that you're making. If you could substantiate with an example.
Suppose in India someone is a Muslim community and there is Hindu majority. So he will decide to work on the Hindu and Muslim discrimination and how Hindus have more privileges and.
So you're saying the conclusion is like pre-decided in a way. Huh? Are you suggesting a Muslim researcher might want to highlight through his research the discriminations that Muslims face in a Hindu majority India?
But suppose even someone is not Muslim, but due to the factor of humanity, any sociologist have a particular, he's kind-hearted and all those values which have been inculcated in him from the
Say one's political predisposition would affect. Huh? Yes, you had something?
It's a combination of everything they have said. So I believe that there is non-objectivity, and that is okay because
That is okay. He's saying the discipline is not objective. Very nice, and he's saying that's perfectly okay. Why are you okay with that?
let's say I'm working in an organization which has left orientation, and they are writing about working class people. So
You are in a research organization, which is leftist in orientation, and they're writing about the working class people.
I'm not saying bias, I'm biased. I'm also using all the methods, but it is showing reality of someone which is residing in our society. So at the end of the day, we are a society in sociology. We are
He's saying that research, even if somewhat prejudiced, is
not somewhat
helping us.
because it's left, so we are writing about working class.
Hmm.
It is showing
But it is, after all, highlighting some aspects of our social lives. Interesting.
Sociologists try to be objective in all their researches. But
All researchers, he's suggesting, incorrectly may I add, that all sociologists try to be objective in their research. ठीक है?
sociological researchers.
Hmm.
But there will be biases which they don't know. They are which they have due to their upbringing, due to their
अनजाने में हमारे biases creep into our research.
and that may affect the research.
तो सोशियोलॉजिस्ट की गलती नहीं है, वो भोले होते हैं. दे ट्राइंग टू बी ऑब्जेक्टिव बट दे बायसेस क्रीप इन. क्या करें, वो भी इंसान होते हैं, है ना? यस.
Building on his point, like sociology cannot be 100%. It cannot be said that it is 100% subjective or 100% objective. But largely it is subjective because the studies is largely based on the data which might be collected by another source. And if we start questioning the collection of data, that might be there might be a corrupt data which is represented, then it might be the same in the science as well, because physics as well. Because
Data anomaly is quite another thing, yeah. We are here talking about the biases of the researcher affecting or not affecting the research. Yes. Wonderful. He's saying that the researcher should be self-aware. Matlab, he should be aware of his own prejudices. No, talk in simple language. I don't know that yet. Okay, talk in normal English bhasha. You're absolutely right. So the researcher has to be aware of his own background, his own value preferences, and perhaps bring it forth in his research. Yes. So you are suggesting that macro level sociological research is objective, and micro level the biases, prejudices, background all creep in. No. You're getting the meaning of objectivity wrong when you're saying that, respectfully. Objectivity means the biases of the researcher. Are they affecting the research or not? Huh? Yeah. Beauty pageants and oppression. She's saying, I pick up, let me paraphrase your argument. Thank you, beta. Her argument is that the selection of the research topic is affected by the background of the researcher, and she's giving a very interesting example of beauty pageants and oppression. Yeah, continue. I cannot be totally objective, you're saying. So if I understand you correctly, you are saying while selecting the topic, the background of the researcher matters. Henceforth, it does not. Might matter, but henceforth it does not. Great. Great. Thank you. So on this issue of objectivity, friends, we have diverse viewpoints. There is no unanimity among sociologists on this issue as well, as with so many other things. First is the viewpoint of the who says objectivity is there. Of course. Weber, बताऊं. Positivists. First is the positivist position. What is the positivist position? That sociological research is characterized by objectivity. Whether it's a Comte or a Durkheim, okay, for them, sociological research is characterized by objectivity. लिखते जाओ and it is self-explanatory. Objectivity means we are discussing the positivist standpoint. Objectivity means that the researcher कैसा होना चाहिए रिसर्चर को अपने रिसर्च के प्रति? Should he be very engaged or should he be very invested in it? If you know what I mean, you know. Should he be very invested in his research? Emotionally? Or how should he be? Disinterested. Unattached. Are you with me? लिखो. क्या लिखा है बेटी? Adopts. The objectivity means that the researcher adopts a detached, unemotional, and clinical attitude towards the subject matter of his research. ठीक? Full stop. The researcher does not allow his own biases or opinions to color the research project. Full stop. Thus, research is free of the values, is free of the value preferences of the researcher. And how do you attain that value-free research? You focus on data. Empirical evidence should guide the research. How can you enhance objectivity? Nowadays compared to say Comte's times, we have better ways to enhance objectivity. Any guesses? आज के पास हमारे पास क्या है जो कॉम्टे के पास नहीं था? Yeah? Technology in general. Yeah? So now algorithms, computation technology in general, yes or no? Basically can reduce the human interface or the human element, thereby bringing in more objectivity. So मैं खुद नहीं वो करूंगा एनालाइज, में डेटा कंप्यूटर में फीड कर दूंगा और फिर लॉक कर दिया जाए, फिर कंप्यूटर जी बताएंगे कि एनालिसिस जो भी है। यस और नो? सो मैं क्या सोचता हूं, मैं मतलब द ह्यूमन रिसर्चर, उसका जो इफेक्ट है ऑन द रिसर्च दैट कैन बी मिनिमाइज्ड। Another thing to enhance objectivity, क्या होना चाहिए? The findings of the research, the data should be shared with other researchers. Are you with me? वो क्या करेंगे? वेरीफाई करेंगे। With other scientists and researchers, the researcher should share so that they can verify. Peer review जो होता है, लिखो, according to positivists, the researcher must remain committed. The researcher must remain committed to the ethos of science. Keeping his own inclinations and biases कहाँ? Aside. Very good. Correct. The researcher must be committed to the ethos of science and keep his own biases or inclinations aside while conducting research. ठीक है ना? डॉर्कहाइम ने क्या कहा था? You treat social facts as things. What does it mean? A detached, cold kind of an attitude towards the subject matter, towards the phenomena under study. Yes or no? You are studying social institutions like family and caste and religion, about which we can be very attached to these. So people are very attached to their respective religion, to their families, to their caste or community to which they belong. Yes or no? But while conducting research, it is your duty as a scientist to treat them as things in a cold, detached, clinical fashion. Yes or no? What do? You will collect क्या? Empirical data and let the data speak. The researcher should not speak. He will speak gibberish. But data will speak the truth. लिख मत देना कि he will speak gibberish या कुछ. ठीक है? ये है positivist viewpoint on the issue of objectivity. Do you agree with this positivist position? Yes or no? हाँ या ना? ना, हम भी ना. फिर चलते हैं ना के साथ आगे. The next position is that of the non-positivists. Like, say, Derek Phillips. What he says, friends, it is, you simply cannot have a research which is not affected, लिखो मत, समझ लो, बाद में लिख लेना खुद ही से. You cannot have a research which is not affected by the researcher's background and his value preferences. You cannot have. Because any research project, at each and every stage, is bound to be affected by the social background and the values of the researcher. Not just in the conclusion or the final stage. At each and every stage of the research project is bound to be affected by who the researcher is, what he thinks, and so on. Are you with me? लिख लो, चिंता ज्यादा हो रही है वरना. कि अकॉर्डिंग टू श्री फिलिप्स, sociological research is bound to be affected by the social background and value preferences of the who? Researcher. At which stage? Final stage or initial stage? At each and every stage. At its each and every stage. Dash. From the selection of the topic of research. From the selection of the topic of research. To how key terms are defined. To how key terms are defined. To what sources of data are relied upon. What sources of data are relied upon. Comma, which data is considered as important and which is neglected as an anomaly. To the final conclusions which are arrived at. शुरू से लेके आखिरी तक, at each and every stage, sociological research is bound to be affected by the background, the value preferences of the researcher. ज़्यादा नहीं बोल रहा है थोड़ा? Is he like exaggerating the role of the researcher's values, etc. in research? Is he overstating his case? No, he's not. Please appreciate. For instance, friends, since the inception of the discipline of socio, okay, now I'm not dictating, I'm just illustrating with some example or two. From the beginning of the discipline of sociology, why did this discipline begin? What was the immediate context? Yeah? The French and the industrial revolutions provided the immediate context. So there were a lot of changes in the political domain and the economy, production system, right? So from the beginning, the discipline, including the founding fathers, were very keenly interested in studying, this sociology of work, economy, production, etc. ठीक? All the founding fathers, be it a Durkheim or a Marx, Comte, they took a very keen interest in the economy. or work. Okay? But till almost as late as 1950s and 1960s, the immense amounts of work being performed by women inside homes was not considered worthy of sociological analysis. It was only when there was a wave of feminism in 1950s and 60s in the US that the work performed by women inside homes came to receive, sociological attention, be researched upon and written about. Are you with me? क्यों? फाउंडिंग फादर्स क्या थे? फादर्स थे ना, फाउंडिंग मदर्स नहीं थे हमारे डिसिप्लिन के. And how did they define work? As paid employment outside the home. Are you with me? तो औरतें जो घर में सुबह से शाम तक पिसती रहती हैं, the enormous amounts of energies that women expend inside homes, doing multifarious chores. Yes or no? एक हाथ में बच्चा होता है, दूसरे हाथ में बर्तन होते हैं. वो उनके हिसाब से काम ही नहीं था. Are you with me? 1950s and 60s में किसने कलम उठा ली? माताओं और बहनों ने. That is the cliched representation of women in our society. मतलब women ने. When women or female sociologists picked up the pen, it was they who highlighted women's issues. So who you are, yes or no, greatly determines of what you are looking for. How you are defining, say, work. Where you are looking for it. So male sociologists, founding fathers कहाँ देखते थे when they wanted to research work? In the factory. हाउस नहीं, हाउस ही तो नहीं देखते थे. Outside the house, factory में, offices में. And when female sociologists, feminist orientation वाली, they started researching the arena of work, they looked inside homes. Yes or no? The conclusions that sociologists arrive at. Before conclusions, say any data set, there would be data that you would ignore or consider as an anomaly, fringe. Are you with me? And there would be data that you would consider as important, which is what depends on who you are, what you are looking for, bluntly. Are you with me? So many of us or many researchers would have a tendency to ignore any data which is inconsistent with their convictions. Data can be interpreted differently. Yes or no? Karl Marx and Emil Durkheim were near contemporaries. Both were analyzing the same society, meaning the modern industrial society which had, sprung up after the French and Industrial Revolutions. Right? In Europe. But both came to very, not just different but divergent analysis of what they saw. So Durkheim, who had a functionalist orientation, he saw cooperation, interdependence, solidarity, consensus, harmony, integration in society. And in that very same society, Shri Karl Marx saw oppression, exploitation, conflict. Yes or no? Gandhi and Ambedkar, contemporaries again, looking at the very same Indian society and the caste system, viewed it very differently. Are you with me? Even on the issue of untouchability, which both wanted eradicated, they held very divergent views. क्यों? Bluntly, Gandhi belonged to an upper caste and Ambedkar belonged to a lower caste. So their analysis of the caste system also greatly differed based on their own social location. So काहे की ऑब्जेक्टिविटी? ठीक? क्या नाम है तुम्हारा? एल्विन गोल्डनर. May I? Yeah, you want this thing to write whatever? No? One sec. Alvin Goldner. In his book titled Anti-Minotaur, dash, the full name of the book is Anti-Minotaur, dash, the myth of value-free sociology. Of value-free sociology. The name of the book is Anti-Minotaur, the myth of value-free sociology. Okay? The myth of value-free sociology. Firstly, to get this Minotaur out of our heads, we are wondering कि क्या English शब्द हुआ. Minotaur is simply refers to a mythical creature in Greek mythology. Okay? So he is using it in some symbolic way. And we don't need to get into Greek mythology at all. What his argument is, that is more important. And it is, Goldner's writings are termed as what someone had mentioned earlier, reflexive sociology. Reflexive sociology. So what Goldner suggests, that facts and values, they cannot be completely separated from each other. Facts and values can never be completely separated from each other. So you simply cannot have a value-free sociology. This notion of value-free sociology is a myth, as the title of the book suggests. Are you with me? See, facts are not sacrosanct. Facts are not, out there. Facts are not unconquerable, should I say. What you regard as facts also depends on who you are. How you interpret facts depends on what you're looking for. दिमाग में तो आते हैं फैक्ट्स तो फैक्ट्स ही हैं. How are they affected by one's values? They are. For instance, say, how do you look at the discipline of economics? It's quite facts based, right? Economics, it's all about numbers and percentages and trends. So if I were to ask you, how's the Indian economy doing? What would you say? Are we doing great? Is the Indian economy in the doldrums? Yeah, as the cliched thing goes, ki cut rahi hai. How is the Indian economy going? Huh? कैसी है इकोनॉमी की हालत? अच्छे दिन आ गए? हाँ, आने वाले हैं, आ चुके हैं, जा तो नहीं चुके. Tell me, what do you make of the economy? Or let us say, if you don't have your minds made up, you open a TV channel debate on economic issues. What will you find? Different sides fighting it out, literally coming to blows based on facts. But how those facts are presented, how they are interpreted, reinterpreted, facts can be interpreted and reinterpreted in a variety of ways. Yes or no? So one side, say the pro-government side, will paint a very rosy picture of the economy. 5 trillion hone hi to wale hain, and all of that. Yeah? One of the fastest growing nations in the world and least hit by the global recession trends and so on and so forth. And the dusri side, they will be all hammer and tongs at the government कि भैया इन्होंने इकोनॉमी की वैट लगा दी, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट है, टमाटर नहीं खरीद सकते, and so many things. Yes or no? Point is, friends, data, statistics के लिए एक बड़ी कहावत है कि you have lies, then you have damned lies, and then you have statistics. अगर आपको झूठ बोलना है तो आंकड़ों से बेहतर तरीका कोई नहीं है. Because they carry this weight of truth. But how you present them, how you mold them, how you reinterpret them, how you selectively present them, are you with me? Can make all the difference. And you can manipulate facts. You can reinterpret facts based on which side are you on. What is your conviction? Say political conviction in this particular example. Are you with me? साफ बात है. अब इकोनॉमी कैसी कर रही है, डिपेंड्स ऑन विच बेस ईयर यू आर कंपेयरिंग टू. आप कहोगे पिछले साल से इतना % ग्रोथ है, बहुत अच्छा हो गया होगा. बट अगर मोदी के स्टार्टिंग से देखोगे टर्म से शायद कम अच्छा हुआ होगा, है ना. एंड मनमोहन के लास्ट ईयर ग्रोथ रेट से कंपेयर करोगे या उसके एवरेज ऑफ द हिज टेन्योर से कंपेयर करोगे, किससे करोगे? जिसको जो प्रेजेंट करना है वो फैक्ट्स के बेसिस पे अपनी आर्ग्यूमेंट अकॉर्डिंगली प्रेजेंट कर देगा. सो फैक्ट्स आर नॉट these sacrosanct objective truths. Facts are interpreted and reinterpreted. By who? People. Based on their convictions. Based on their value preferences. So, Goldner says, friends, see, researchers are full grown human beings. They are not value free clean slates, right? 25, 30, 50 साल का इंसान कर रहा है रिसर्च. By that time he has developed a set of or acquired a set of values, convictions, preferences, prejudices and stereotypes. So you simply can't escape. You matlab the researcher cannot escape his value preferences or his social background while conducting research. तो लिख लो ना that the researcher cannot escape from their prejudices, value preferences or social background while conducting research. No matter how hard they try. No matter how hard they try. तो क्या करें हम? रिसर्च करना छोड़ दें? एज अ रिसर्चर मैं जॉब छोड़ दूं? क्या करें? हाँ? It's better if the researcher is open about his preferences, rather than claiming to be objective, which you can never be. Are you with me? It is better, according to Goldner, that the researcher is open about his value preferences. Instead of trying to hide behind a jhootha cloak of objectivity. Are you with me? say I'm conducting research on communal riots. So I should be very forthright that I am a practicing Hindu. And in the riots of XYZ, I had lost a dear friend or a family member to a communal riot. So that may affect my analysis of the relationship between two communities. Are you with me? ठीक? तो ये है नॉन पॉजिटिविस्ट व्यू कि आप अपनी वैल्यूज को छोड़ तो सकते ही नहीं. तो might as well own up to them. Own them up. Alright? And you have to bear with me because I want to complete this topic. So, patience is the key. Not ghadi dekhna. Which position is more convincing? Positivist? Whom do you agree with more? The positivist or the anti? Anti. अब एक लेते हैं मिडल पाथ. ठीक है? These are like two extremes. Let's take a middle path. Are non-positivism, is non-positivism same as anti-positivism? I would say non-positivism is a slightly broader term than anti-positivism. Okay? We'll understand that distinction as we move ahead. Or non-positivists include anti-positivists. For now, suffice with that. Okay? Now let us come to a middle ground between these two extreme positions. एक कहता है कि क्या दिक्कत है, facts based ही तो है, data data data, तो objective. दूसरा कहता है data does not exist on its own, it is always interpreted in light of values. So who the researcher is entwined with the research project. Okay? Between these two is who? Take a guess. Max Weber. Absolutely. आप समझ गए हो, यही बंदा comes to the rescue, है ना? So, let us now appreciate the Weberian position on the question of objectivity. Weber क्या कहते हैं? Weber का मानना है that, मैं डिक्टेट कर दूंगा, पहले समझ लो. ये कहते हैं, there are two things in a research. One is when you select the topic, the first step in a research, what you will be researching on. That selection of the topic of research is bound to be affected by the values of the researcher. There is no escaping. Which topic you choose to study is bound to be affected by who you are and what you think. What is your inclination? And why he says that? साफ बात है, देयर आर इनन्यूमरेबल सोशल फिनोमिना. दुनिया में सैकड़ों, हजारों, लाखों, करोड़ों चीजें हो रही हैं. Yes or no? Out of these innumerable phenomena, I will pick up one and conduct research on it. Now, which topic I choose to study, yani which topic I consider worthy of my time and attention, will depend upon what my preferences are, what my background is, what my inclination is, all of that. Yes or no? For example, Weber himself, Sakshat, studied bureaucracy. Kyun? His father was a senior bureaucrat. And Weber spent much of his life in awe of his father. Weber studied Protestant religious beliefs. Protestants are a group of Christians. He studied their religious beliefs and how they impacted the development of capitalism. Kyun? His mother was a devout Protestant. So which topic out of so many social phenomena which are there in every society, out of those innumerable phenomena which we pluck out and study, of course is shaped by who we are. We matlab the researcher is. ठीक? But once, लिखवा दूंगा, but once the topic of research has been chosen, in the subsequent steps, the researcher has to be very conscious that he does not allow his own values to prejudice or affect the research. Are you with me? That is Weber's broad position. तो अब लिखो. According to Weber, a completely value-free sociology, have you understood his point of view? Weber's views on objectivity? Huh? According to Weber, a completely value-free sociology is possible or not? Not possible. Is not possible. The selection of the topic of the research, is affected by the values of the researcher. Full stop. Out of innumerable social phenomena, which one the researcher chooses to study? I repeat, out of the innumerable social phenomena, which one the researcher chooses to study is guided by his interest, values, and inclination. Full stop. What the researcher considers as worthy of research depends on his background, on his perspective. ठीक है? Depends on his background and perspective. उसकी सोच पे निर्भर करता है. So, full stop डाल के, so the selection of the research topic is always value relevant, what Weber calls value relevant. ठीक? Next para. Once the research topic has been decided, the subsequent process of research should not be contaminated by the researcher's values. ठीक? Full stop. The researcher must maintain value neutrality and remain impartial or unbiased. ठीक है? Full stop. Value neutrality, according to Weber, is the duty of the researcher to identify and acknowledge their own values and biases and overcome them while conducting research. So how do you overcome your biases or maintain value neutrality? It is your duty as a researcher to do so. But how do you do it? How do you go about doing it? Firstly, you must be aware. You have to be aware of what your values and biases are. Are you with me? First is that you must be, the researcher must be aware of his own values or preferences or biases. Secondly, friends, लिख लिया ना, that he must be aware. To maintain value neutrality, first the researcher has to be aware of his own, or he is to be conscious of his own biases and value preferences. ठीक है? The researcher must be aware and conscious about his own biases or preferences. Secondly, while conducting research, लिख लो, while conducting research, the researcher should disclose his research findings without distorting or omitting. Secondly, I said while conducting research, the researcher should disclose his research findings without omitting or distorting any data which contradicts his own views. Are you with me? In other words, you have to be honest in your approach to the research project. You don't play around with data just to fit your preconceived notions. For example, if I'm conducting research on, say, communal riots and conflagrations, okay? I'm a Hindu researcher conducting research on Hindu-Muslim riots. Now, having a certain kind of upbringing or socialization, I may hold a view, or it may be my, analysis as a layman, that it is Muslims who are the aggressor community. So it is Muslims who start riots, it is Muslims who are more aggressive, it is Muslims who are more reactionary, or they are the ones who, etc. While Hindus are a peaceful, law-abiding, etc. community. Now when I conduct research, data may throw up that in riot after riot after riot, it is the Hindus who are the instigators. more number of casualties are amongst Muslims than Hindus. Are you with me? And so on and so forth. Matlab, the data may throw up something which is inconsistent with my preconceived notions about inter-community relations or the nature of two communities. Are you with me? So what should I do? I should not conveniently manipulate this data or omit certain data. What should I do? I have to own up to it. That bhaiya, these are what मेरा तो ये मानना था as a Hindu or because of my background in political inclination or this or that, but this is what the data reveals. All right? So the researcher, are we clear? The researcher must, likho na, the researcher must strive for value neutrality. Must strive for value neutrality, even if it is never fully attainable. Even if it can never be fully attained. So value neutrality, or is that mirage या क्या बोलते हैं, मिराज ही बोलते हैं शायद, जो दिखता है और लगता है होता नहीं है, वो भागते जाते हैं डेजर्ट में उसके पीछे, मिराज ही होता है ना. हाँ, तो इट्स लाइक दैट, यू कीप ऑन परस्यूइंग इट, यू नेवर बी एबल टू फुल्ली अटेन इट. सो शुड यू गिव अप द परस्यूट इटसेल्फ? नहीं. एज अ रिसर्चर इट इज योर ड्यूटी टू परस्यू वैल्यू न्यूट्रलिटी. दिस इज Weber's position, and we are not done. So it calls for 5 to 7 minutes of greater patience, more patience. ठीक है? These are 3 types of views which we have discussed on the issue of value neutrality. First, positivists who say, क्या दिक्कत है? Focus on data, let the data speak, keep your values aside, very much possible, just like in the natural sciences. Sociology should be, can be, is objective. Second is the non-positivists who contend that it simply can't be objective. The values of the researcher affect the research project at each and every stage, from the beginning to the end. Third position is that of Weber, who says the choice of the research topic is value relevant or affected by the researcher's values, but the subsequent research, he should strive for value neutrality, or be very consciously trying to ensure that his values do not affect the research. The fourth viewpoint on the issue of objectivity is that of what we call critical researchers. Critical researchers. ये क्या कहते हैं? Sociology should not be objective. अभी तक we were on the question of can it be objective or not. Positivists said हाँ we can be. Non-positivists said no we can't be. Weber said we can't be but we should try to. Okay, but these guys say we should not be objective. So sociological researchers should have a value preference. खुले में, चौड़ में. Guys, are these people crazy? Are they really suggesting that research should be biased? Should be biased? Not that it will be biased and we should try to minimize that bias, but they are saying it should be biased. Have they lost it completely? Or how do you justify being consciously biased? Their argument is it should be biased with a clear value preference in favor of the marginalized sections of the society. Sociologists should speak up for the disadvantaged. The voiceless sections of the society. So सीना ठोक के बोलो that I am writing from a feminist perspective. I am highlighting the patriarchal nature of various social institutions, be it family or religion or education or economy, from a feminist lens. Are you with me? सीना ठोक के बोलो that I am analyzing the nature of caste inequalities and exploitations, caste-based discriminations faced by the lower castes in Indian society from a Dalit standpoint. So, it is the bounden duty of the sociologist to speak up, to become a voice of the voiceless. Be it women, be it the lower castes, be it the sexual minorities, LGBTQIA+, be it ethnic minorities, immigrants, be it those racially discriminated against, say blacks in a white dominated American society. Are you with me? So, समाज के वंचित, शोषित, प्रताड़ित वर्ग के लिए हमें आवाज बुलंद करनी है, हमें उनका पक्ष रखना है in the discipline of sociology. Objectivity is no great shakes. Why should we be pursuing objectivity in the first place? Are you with me? Lee Harvey writes that sociologists should have a clear value commitment to give voice to the oppressed, the voiceless, and to reveal the oppressive structures in society. But एक बात बताओ, if you do that, if you do what they are saying, won't you be producing a very one-sided narrative? Isn't that objectionable in a very fundamental way? Or not? How do these guys justify analyzing the society from a particular standpoint, of a particular social group? So what these guys would argue rather is that, the perspective of the dominant sections of the society is anyways reflected in the mainstream writings. For example, feminist scholars would argue that the male perspective is already reflected in the mainstream sociology writings. But we need to become or give voice to women's issues. Look at things from a woman's perspective, which has long been neglected in sociological research or writings. Are you with me? So we are only correcting an imbalance by erring on the other side. आदमियों का पक्ष, आदमियों का पर्सपेक्टिव तो सैकड़ों ने लिख ही दिया. औरत की आवाज अब हमें बनने की हमारी जिम्मेवारी है. Likewise, the upper caste perspective is already dominant in Indian sociology and anthropology because most researchers happen to come from an upper caste background. It is the lower caste perspective which also needs to be articulated, which has been somewhere lost in this clutter of upper caste narratives. Are you with me? Phil Karspeken similarly suggests that sociologists should be committed to changing the world. ठीक है, तो ये हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव होना चाहिए एज अ डिसिप्लिन. चलो साथ मिलके एक नई दुनिया बसाएं. ठीक है, विच इज मोर इगैलिटेरियन, विच इज मोर जस्ट, मोर फेयर than the current one which has innumerable oppressive structures and injustices. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद for your patience. One quick poll: which school do you belong to? How many of you are positivists on this question of objectivity? How many of you are positivists? Raise your hand. After this whole thing, none? Comteco? Whatever. How many of you are non-positivists? It is bound to affect research at every stage. Values. How many of you are Weberian? Weber is quite appealing. Huh? Middle path kind of a guy. How many of you are critical sociologists? चलो फिर बदलते हैं दुनिया.